All right, Shalom. I want to begin by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, bahasham, Rawchaa Qadash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles, and elders of Great Millstone. Much respect to the brothers laboring worldwide in truth and sincerity. And salutations and blessings to the hopeful elect, believing on the words of Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi. Coming at you with another lesson, Lord willing, is edifying. And the thing that I've been meditating on today is how the Lord is gathering his elect. At the same time, he's putting these curses upon our enemies. All right? And that's a telltale sign that the Lord is moving in the earth today, man. All right? What is that? Psalms chapter 50. Yeah, they had taken the covenant. Let's just go get it. Right? Well, simultaneously, the Lord is abasing this damn devil, and he uplifting the children of Israel. You know, the 1/3 who can hear this beautiful song. Right? But this is the book of Psalms, chapter 50 and verse 16. But unto the wicked the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Right. You know, these damn devils swear on the Bible, you know, said this is a God-fearing country, but all that is not true. You know, it's all contrary. They use the Bible as a prop, basically. You know, they don't follow the ways of the Lord. All right. It says, "Seeing thou hatest instruction and castest my word behind thee." Yeah, what's one of the examples of Esau casting the words of Yahawashi behind him? Well, Leviticus 20 and 13 plainly say that their blood shall be upon them. If a man also lie with mankind as he lie with a woman, they shall surely be put to death. But guess what? America does the opposite of that, right? The so-called white man does the opposite of that, right? It says, when thou sawest a thief, then thou considerest with him. Thou hast been partaker with adulterers. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. Yeah, that tongue frames deceit, man. Anyway and every way, their legislation is pushed forth to keep you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans oppressed. Right? It says, thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thy own mother's son. And that's what these damn devils do, man. They constantly put things in, and that's the spirit. Another project, Rebuild Alabama. Well, shit, this place is finished, man. And that's the spirit going into, you know, the Lord abasing Esau. At the same time, he's building up the children of Israel, man. Right? Read it again. Psalms chapter 50, verse 20. Thou sittest, Rebuild Alabama, man. Fuck Alabama. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thy own mother's son. Yeah, you guys, Esau, all right? You put pork enzymes and everything, and then you accuse us to Yahawashi, man. That's you slandering us, right? Look at them, Lord. They're not doing what you say do, right? It says, these things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee. See, but I will reprove thee. How is the Lord reproving this devil? By the mouth of the prophets, right? And set them in order before thine eyes. See, and set them in order before thine eyes. So that's what we're seeing happen. We're being set in order before the eyes of Esau, man. And guess what? Great fear is falling upon them, right? Let's get some. Ezekiel chapter 17 and verse 24, right? These things are occurring at the same time. Ezekiel 17 and 24, all the trees of the field shall know. What are the trees? The trees are a representation of people, nations, right? Real quick. I believe that's the book of Mark, chapter 8. Yep, and verse 24. Let's start at verse 23. It says, and he took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes and put his hands upon him, he asked him if he saw aught. And he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. See? So in the scriptures, men, all right, or nations are known as trees. Okay? Back in Ezekiel chapter 17 and verse 24, it says, and all the trees of the field shall know. Yeah, what the field is, the world, right? I believe that's pursuant to Matthew chapter 13, where the reapers are going to come at the end of this man's system, right? It says, all the trees of the field shall know that I, the Lord, have brought down the high tree. Who is the high tree? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, right? And have exalted the low tree. Who is the low tree? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American, the Israelites, man, right? It says, and have dried up the green tree. How is the Lord drying up the green tree? Esau, he's taking away his wisdom, right? You know, and his deception is no longer working, so he's going to have to resort to what? The sword, okay? And have dried up and have made the dry tree to flourish. Yeah, we were once dry, but now we have this living water, all right? The curses are being turned back on our enemies. I, the Lord, have spoken and have done it. See, it was already a decree. Things had to play out. All right. And the things that are playing out now is the Lord is turning back our captivity and putting the curses upon our enemy. Right. This is Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 1. Matter of fact, an example of that is that fentanyl, man. That ain't going nowhere. That hasn't went anywhere. But what you're seeing is that it's not being made known to the people. It's not being made broadcast anymore. All right? Because that's part of their shame. Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse. See? Lord already decreed it. We're going to taste some of the blessings, right? Which mainly were pushed forth during King Solomon's reign, which is Yahawashi. You know, if you can believe it, right? If the Spirit is working with you, because there's a certain thing called reincarnation in the scriptures. All right, reincarnation is biblical. Okay, it says the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations. And that's what we're doing. We're calling the curses to mind. All right. Once we heard this gospel and Deuteronomy 28 was read, she was like, damn, that fit us. All right. That's us having our pure mind stirred by way of remembrance. Okay. And thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether the Lord thy power have driven thee. And thou shalt return unto the Lord thy power, and thou shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day. Thou and thy children with all thine heart, right? And with all thine soul, that the Lord thy power will turn thy captivity, see that? And have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whether the Lord thy power have scattered thee, right? So that's what the Lord is doing now by way of the word. We're being gathered by the word, right? Is that pursuant to Baruch chapter 4 and Baruch chapter 5. Right? It says, if any of thine be driven out unto the uttermost part of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy power gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee, and the Lord thy power will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possess, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. See, and that's what's going to occur. That's what's set to happen, man, in the kingdom of heaven. Right? It says, and the Lord thy power will circumcise thine heart. That word heart goes back to the Hebrew word la, which means your mind. Right? So our mind is being circumcised, man. What does Scripture say? Rent your heart and not your garments. The Lord is looking on the inner man. You see? It says, and the heart of thy seed to love the Lord thy power with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And the Lord thy power will put all these curses, will put all these curses upon thine enemy and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. See, and that's the stage we're in now. All right, all these curses are being put up on our enemies, man. You got all these countries actually are fighting low birth rate. You had China. Recently, I seen an article regarding China with their low birth rate, man. But guess what? That's the Lord turning the curses back on our enemies, man. All right, including chiefly the house of Esau, Edom. Okay, that's gonna be it for the lesson. Lord willing, it's been edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, bahasham, Rawchaa Qadash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles, and elders of Great Millstone. Lord willing, coming at you with another lesson. Till the next time, I say shalom.